Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Thursday edition of the Indie Escape Network presents The Sticky Microphone with their special guest, actor, director, and writer, Tim Novotny. I guess it would help if I took that down now, huh?
Yeah, we went. All right, there we go. Okay, so listen, we've got first before we introduce the sexy, sultry, brooding Tim Novotny. I want to introduce the beautiful, sexy, sultry, and brooding in front of a brick wall, Jaime Hill.
Hi, everybody.
That sexy sultriness that we all come to love. No, so you guys, he's a good friend of mine, really interesting. But first, before we get started, Jaime, how's your week been?
My week has been crazy busy. I'm on set this week. I've been on set starting, oh gosh, I can't believe it's the middle of August already. So I've been on set every weekend for 3 weeks now. For other things in the middle of the week, doing lots of marketing. And
I know.
Looking forward to my Thursday showing up, so I showed up really quick.
So you're doing the film that you told me about. Is that the one that you're shooting right now, or is this something else?
No, that's something else. That's another little one. I'm getting very strong. Let's say I'm gonna kick butt.
Nice.
I'm excited.
A whole new one. This other one, it's a mom role.
I'm excited. All of my movie star friends. Too. Well, I'm gonna ride on your coattails, but all right.
Thank you for joining us, Otis V. Drez. Great show last night.
Yeah. Well, before we go any further, let me introduce Tim because there's a lot.
Well. Patience is a virtue, young lady.
All right.
I mean, just because you have that awesome Jersey hair doesn't mean you can push me. Oh no, yeah, it does. Never mind.
I can push you around if I want to, but go ahead. What do you want to say?
I was going to hit on a couple of comments if I could. And Otis said, thank you. You're very welcome. And we got what? Can't wait to hear from Tim. Before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, if it is your first time joining us, please go to the Indie Escape Network. Hit the like, subscribe, and all those doodad buttons on the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, the TikTok, and the Instagram. I may have said them out of order, but you got the gist of it. And I have to make another announcement again. If you are in the Orlando area, in mid-September, join us at Phantasm Orlando, a paranormal and horror convention. I will be there all 3 days. I'll be staying at the venue. Going to be moderating the Harlow's Haunt movie premiere, and then a few other things. And I heard Felissa Rose is going to be there.
Oh my God.
So.
I need to get there. I
know, Jaime. Today I talked to Jaime and I said, Jaime, come in, because she's getting invited to all these cons and wants to be a part of them. So come and stay with me. I'm centrally located. You go down to Joe. You go up to New York. You do whatever you need to do. But
it's only a month away.
Yeah, you just have to fly. You just have to get that flight. But anyways, all right. So wait a minute. Can I introduce yet, or should I?
No, there's one more thing.
What? Oh, okay, go, yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, this is kind of cool. For Sunday night on the Indie Escape Network presents David Lee Madison's The End of the Night, William Bill Sadler will be joining us. So if you don't recognize the name, you kind of recognize the name. Green Mile, Bill and Ted, Part 2 and 3 as Death, and Shawshank Redemption, and so much more. He's releasing an album, so he's going to be there to talk about that. Now, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Oh, me? Jamie? Okay. All right. Well, with all of that, we're going to get to our guest, who's, like I said, a great guy, great friend, actor, writer, composer, and director, Tim Novotny. And I'm going to kind of talk about just list a few of his movies and TV shows. Pharisee, Vile Prey, Saint Gabriel, Hellband, Ragmork, Born of Malice, Trivial, Brimstone Incorporated, Nameless Christus, Side Effects May Vary, and right now he's doing Mephistophiliac. I got it right. Did I not?
You actually got it right. Thank you so much.
So, Tim, yes, thank you for joining us.
How's it going?
So Tim is joining us from Ohio, which is scenically beautiful.
Nah, it depends on what time of year.
I like to make fun of Ohio. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's scenically beautiful 3 months out of the year. Every other, it's like, yeah.
it's cold,
Sounds
and
like
Jamie
Canada.
understands cold. Jamie
Yeah.
knows about cold weather.
You're
She's
making me
Jamie
think
would
it's like
understand
Canada.
cold. Jamie would understand cold because it's from Canada, correct?
Uh-oh. Otis says it's
Canada,
very true.
yes.
I'm in Ohio.
Canada? I'm
Canada.
Canadian, eh?
Eh?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
hoser. We do that every time. Take off, you hoser. Well, so Tim, I mean, you know, I've known Tim for quite some time, and so I know a lot of his backstory. But the one thing that I don't know if I know, and I'm going to have him kind of walk us through, is, you know, what got you into acting and into writing in the first place? It's, you know, what was your theater background? Kind of walk us through your journey a little bit.
Yeah, so I started probably right at the ass end of high school in acting, but I've been writing for a very long time. So it's kind of an accident, honestly, on how I got into acting, because I never saw myself as an actor. I never was completely into it until I started studying the Chekhov technique a little bit later in my early 20s, and then I realized, um, acting it can be a lot more than just being a face or a persona. To me, it was more psychological.
Yeah.
And that's what really got me into acting, because I was always fascinated with character actors like Gary Oldman, or I just forgot his name again. I did this in another interview. The guy from Gangs in New York, There Will Be Blood.
Oh, Daniel
Day-Lewis. Thank you. Character actors, they always fascinated me, and it was always about, whatever you learn inside mentally about a character, and if you can adapt their traits and their characteristics and everything else, it just kind of flows out naturally. So you don't have to worry about, is this going to look okay? You just know it is, and then it works.
I agree.
So I mean, and yeah, I mean, I've been acting a lot longer than I've been directing. I didn't start directing until about 2012. I did a couple of short films that were about 30 minutes that made it into a couple festivals, around in different parts of the world.
Which ones were those?
I was two. They were called. One was called Twisted Fate, and the other one was called Syndrome.
Okay.
And they were so. I mean, they were low budget. It was pretty much like anything else I did. But it was, kind of an experimental thing, just to play around and see what I could do and find my vision as a director and a writer. And just find my style, basically. So.
Okay,
I mean,
great, because we talked about this. You had both of us have had a theater background. Jamie, I don't know if I know. Do you have a theater background? I don't know if I ever asked you that.
So I had the best elementary school ever. So we had a theater in our gymnasium, and every year we had a concert that the entire school would do. And every year we had to audition. So it was like a mini theater. Instead of having and going out into the community theater, my elementary school had great teachers. And even like CBC would come and record it. This is in the 80s.
That's great.
But it was fun. So that's what got me going. And then, of course, by the time I went to high school, drama club was there. And yeah. So I mean, theater too, it really makes you speak up.
I think it's right. It's a great springboard into doing this. And like, certainly a lot of people come from that background. I went to NYU, and I was circling the square, but I studied like Adler. I studied a little bit of Strasberg, right, method. Yeah. But I will say, musical theater, I don't really have to. If you're doing Oklahoma, do you really have to go deep? Probably not. But Tim, getting back to your stuff, I mean, some of your stuff, you do go pretty deep. So let's hear about some of those experiences going deep. And I don't mean sexually.
Oh, that's too bad, because I had a bunch of stuff lined up for that.
Too. That's how we do on the show, right, Jamie? Sorry, Joe.
Joe.
We're only 10 minutes in. Only been 10 minutes.
I know.
I'm curious about the
I'm sorry.
We could have turned
the
this.
beginnings too, but not that deep.
All right, so where should we start here? Because there's a lot of
to unpack.
Lot to unpack here. So
well, we were talking about musical. What was your favorite musical? What is?
I was in a couple musicals, and the one Wendy and I just talked about this the other night. My favorite musical was one that I was almost cast in, but never got into it because they got another actor instead, and it was between me and this other actor, and it never worked out. And then that's kind of around the time I was stopping theater. which was Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
It's great.
Great
musical.
I wanted to play that role so bad, and I
Go ahead. You sang a little bit of it. Go ahead.
I'm not going to sing it live.
Pretty women are a wonder.
Pretty women.
Pretty women, sir.
Silhouetted.
Pretty women, sir. And he's vaping because that's what they do.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting, right, Jamie? I mean, that's a good question. What's your favorite musical? But I got to tell you, if you see, like, I mean, I've seen a lot of Tim's work. A lot of it because of James, too, because when Tim and I just did a film together. We weren't on set at the same time, and I just am always a fan of him because he's got this naturally brooding. I mean, that's always the word I use, brooding energy, but it's not fake. It's real. It's just very organic and cool. It comes from a very dark place. Why don't you tell the viewing audience what you do for a living?
I am a mortuary assistant.
Oh, that's neat.
He loves it, and he loves
Now, that is cool as hell.
Yeah.
Tell him what you do, Tim. You've been bombs. He loves it. He loves it.
Especially for someone who loves horror. Like, okay.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's really somebody who's like living it.
Yeah, I'm still taking courses and training because I just started about a year ago. It was something that I wanted to do, but it is actually a very rewarding thing to do and just be a part of that. So, okay, so I get that because Kayla and I did a film together, and it was actually our effects artist Ron George, and there was a scene where she was pregnant, and I was like a serial killer abducting people. And she's like pinned up against the wall. I've got her pinned up against the wall. And she's like, please don't do this. I'm pregnant. And then I punched her in the face and I'm like, your face isn't pregnant. And then I just started continuously beating her with a ball bat until the baby and everything was just a mess of goo.
That's not the Elvis one, is it?
No. That is not the Elvis one. That's actually screening soon. And that's one called Because I Can. And it has like a very nice plot twist. I think it was a short. It was I believe it was a 48. It was a 48, but it was just one of those tons of movies that I've done. So
he's done a lot. Go ahead. Maybe you should do your Elvis because James.
Well, I'm trying to remember some of my lines. I think there was a scene where
he was an Elvis serial killer.
And there was a scene in that where I did rip a baby out of somebody, and then I pulled it up. I'm like, oh, eat your heart out, Casey Anthony, and I just fucking threw it, smashed it against the concrete, busted it open. Great scene. It was a hilarious. That was actually one of Bachmeyer's things.
I was going to say, did Dave Bachmeyer write that line?
That was a Dave Bachmeyer. Okay. Yeah. That was.
Wendy, I got to interrupt for 1 second. We have a tie commenting. Tim rocks, extremely talented and good dude. People need to check out his work ASAP.
Thank you.
And a tie, do me a favor, put the link down below, and I'll bring that up as well. If you guys don't know who he is, you should be ashamed of yourself.
That's right. He is one of the best promoters that I know and filmmakers.
Yeah.
He's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah. Well, Tim knows some good people. That's for sure. Hi, Amy.
Hello, Amy.
Amy from Harlow's Haunt, and she was on last night with Rick and Otis.
Okay. Hi, Amy.
Just as it ended.
We are. So, I've got to ask you, Tim, because you've got there's a lot going on right now. And I know a few films, and I apologize if I'm not saying this right. I know some might have taken the back burner, or you're waiting to do a sizzle. Is Mephistopheliac, is that happening, or is that?
I'm gonna actually promote that here because this is currently in production right now. This film is technically my third feature film, and we got a sizable budget, the lead actor, co-producer, and this is a movie that also the co-star of it is Felissa Rose. She is in this film alongside. So we shot her scenes a couple of months ago. They turned out great. But we still have a long way to go, and we ran into a few hiccups here and there in production, and I always tell people when it gets done, it'll get done, and you'll see it, and trust me, you'll enjoy it. but it's really something else. I mean, if you actually go and look up anything about it, which on the Novotarian Syndicate YouTube channel, you'll see a couple of promo teasers that we shot for it. It's basically about a guy who paints himself up like the devil and goes out and just murders people. And his conscious side, because it's usually induced by alcohol, so his conscious side is completely unaware of what he's doing. And it's a movie that it's a little bit different than what I've done. I mean, it's more of a social commentary on today's society, social conditioning, just the violence in America, everything that's going on now. And he's kind of a reactionary force to everything that's happening in America right now, especially because, you know.
I should have looked this up. Is Mephistophiliac, is that like the name of a real demon? Is that like the...
No, well, here's the thing. So Mephistopheles, the name comes from Dr. Faust. Dr. Faustus was a play and a book that was written many years ago. If you're aware of the movie Faust or anything in literature, Mephistopheles...
Yeah, I've heard of Faust.
So you understand who Mephistopheles is. So what we did was we took the name Mephistopheles and we took just basically made it a pathology, which was philiac, adding philiac to the end of it, which is, there's a definition, and I'm not going to expose it right now. When you watch the film, the actual definition comes on before it happens. But we basically just came up with a new term for a serial killer. Yeah.
It took me a minute to say that right, but
yeah. Tombstone had a scene where Faust was being performed. That's correct. Faust was a play. It's actually, if you think about it, like in terms of Faust, there's a lot that kind of ties into this movie with that because of his alternate personality, because it is very Jekyll and Hyde. And I don't know if any of the audience out there has actually watched the movie The House That Jack Built. Matt Dillon. Dillon, yeah. So a lot of the concepts in that film, it touched a little bit about the pathology of a serial killer and what goes through their mind. This one is a little bit more, I think it brings it more to a human level, because this is about a guy who everything in his life has gone wrong. He's just went through a breakup. Both of his parents are dead. He has an alcohol problem. He lost his job. Everything just kind of hit at once. And something in his mind just completely snapped. And it's a very believable and real character, because a lot of the scenes, specifically with Felissa, because she plays the psychiatrist in this, it's really, the whole movie is basically a psychiatrist session with all these incredibly violent scenes and flashbacks that are laced together with it. And it's very intense. Like a lot of the scenes that we shot are pretty gruesome and pretty.
You said she was. I mean, I've heard this, and Jamie, I don't know if you'd worked with her yet on the film, but you said she was very nice. I've heard she's very just a sweet person.
She is.
Yeah.
No,
I loved working with her. She's one of the best actresses I've ever had to direct. So, yeah, she's definitely great.
Interesting. Yeah. Jamie, there was someone I was going to ask you about a Canadian movie that came. I literally had this question on the back burner, but I'll come back to it. But it was something. Maybe it was something about Grotesque. But didn't you say? Aren't you doing
Grotesque? I did see that movie.
Did you see that?
You watched our Grotesque?
It was, what was that? It was an Asian film, wasn't it?
No, you're thinking another one. I know.
Okay.
This is a new one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Jamie, aren't you doing a 2? You're doing Grotesque 2 or something?
Yeah, we're doing Grotesque 2 right now. Yeah, there's a couple movies that my original family, Higher Universe, we've been making indie films for quite some time up here. So nice. Grotesque and Grotesque 2 just started this year, but we filmed Grotesque 1. It took us a few years because of COVID, but we made it work. Just like what Tim said, you just make it work. You get to it when you can, because sometimes stuff happens like COVID.
Right.
You both kind of are cut from the same cloth, where both, because I know this from both of you, like you've done every lighting and you've done every aspect. And, as people often do in indie films, written and produced, and you just kind of take ownership of all of it. Both of you
I wanted to learn.
you want it to turn out good, and sometimes if it's going to get done, sometimes you just got to take that into your own hands and make sure it gets it done.
Yeah.
I've run into so many. I mean, I've had productions that have fallen apart in the past because either there were too many cooks in the kitchen or things didn't work out well. And it's like with this time, with everything that's going on, I finally have the ability to just grab it and just take it by the reins and just drive with it, especially with the budget we have and the people that I'm working with, because I'm bringing a lot of faces back from some of my earlier films that I haven't had a lot of chances to work with recently, that, and they were all good people. I mean, especially Kevin, the star and the co-writer. He was my first actor that I worked with. Yeah, like he came in. He was never. I mean, before that, he wasn't acting. He was in the performance art and music.
And, that's right.
He
was like a punk band or something, I think. Right?
Yeah. I mean, he was doing all kinds of stuff.
Wait a minute. Are you bringing Adam? He's got that hair.
Adam is going to be in this film, actually. Yeah. He has a very, very cool part.
Oh, good. Okay. He's got Jamie. Adam has incredible hair. He should.
He does have very nice hair.
Yes. My husband has really nice hair too, though.
Oh, does he have good hair?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. When they have good hair. Well, that's very, very interesting. I know that. And then one that I wanted to mention because I like which is the one where you're like where you're a
gangster. Yeah. That was a show.
St. Gabriel.
St. Gabriel, yes. That was one that was an interesting project because we started doing like earlier things for it in 2015. So that's how far back I've gone with those guys and worked with them. But then recently, it's on Tubi now. They upgraded the show. I got to bring that character back. The original show, when I got the script, it took place in the 1940s. So I had an idea for who my character was. He was going to have like a pencil mustache and just be real greasy and just slimy kind of guy. So I sort of incorporated that and brought that more into a modern thing. And it worked. So I just kind of kept going with it. But I did like that character. That was definitely one of my favorite characters to play.
Cool. Yeah. We'll have to get Joe to write that down in there so we can remember.
St. Gabriel. It's called St. Gabriel Sins of the Past. There's 2 episodes. They're technically prequel episodes to the series, but they are available to watch on Tubi. So
I love Tubi. Grotesque is on Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi is. So I mean, do you have the same quandary? I mean, we've talked about this. As an indie film, when you're finally getting your film done, is there any way, any of the streaming places where you can make money on this? I should know this, but I feel like that's not true. Oh, St. Gabriel.
That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Where can you? I mean, that's a problem. I mean, you get like pennies on the. Secret. That's always going to be kind of an ongoing battle with indie film. I can say that right now, Film Hub seems to be a pretty good option. Film Hub. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Film Hub is a pretty good option to go on. There's also, I mean, I don't know if I should recommend it.
We have lots of different indie networks coming out now that are actually going to help us promote indie.
Yeah, like Atai, who was just on here, he does an exquisite job of promoting artists that are on like that label and everything, because there's always smaller networks like that.
My indie productions, they've been around for quite a while. When George C. Romero and I first started out, Atai was just awesome with us, and we greatly appreciated him.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it seems to be, I know this from, watching James work and all this. It's very hard. Sorry, there's a little gnat that's driving through this. Who's that? Oh, okay.
There's the epic fan.
I thought a plane was taking off. That's great. But
no, that might be mine actually.
That's what I was referring to.
That's it right there. The laptop.
What is that in the background? Is that the Novotarian Syndicate thing in the background? What's that?
Oh yeah, that's my computer. That's the logo. Yeah.
Oh, was that? Okay, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. It's my editing rig. Medieval.
I love that. Wait, so you know what? Actually, I forgot to ask you. Who does do your editing? Can I ask that?
I do.
You do your own editing?
I do my own editing. Yes.
Oh, Oh, interesting.
I have to. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I want it to look just right, you know?
A certain way, right?
Yeah.
He's a perfectionist.
I am
Yeah.
a perfectionist, yes. And it's embarrassing to admit, but yes, I am a perfectionist. Very anal retentive about my work. So,
well, you know what? I mean, I admire that and I love that. And Tim
it was an airport, pretty much. I actually do live next to it. He's kind of right because I do live next door to an airport. So
which one? The Canton one?
No, Kent. It's a private airport for the university. So
Okay.
planes fly over. They're not flying over now. They never go at night. But when the kids come over and they're doing the trainee shit, it's like
I think I've been to that airport, like that little. I think I've been there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, anyways, but yeah, I mean, Jamie, I mean, that's like definitely, especially since you're like really on the working end of like getting things finished. I mean, that's probably the quandary is, do you have a million people to help, or do you try to get it done, your way because you have a vision of how you want it to look, right?
Yeah. We have our almighty teamster.
Thanks,
you have your family you go to, right? So you do everything you can, and you give out the things that you can delegate.
That's right.
Right. Well, I, what I do, like I'll just say this because it's certainly, I'm very, very much perfectionist about what I do, but mine is just, me. So if I'm in there recording, yes, my sound and all that has to be perfect, my performance, but it doesn't require lighting and editing and all that stuff. So it's easy for me to put my hand in it because it's just a few different elements. So.
And that's the thing too, like even with my earlier films, it was very, very hard because I had to basically just work with what I had and just put it together the best I could to make it look as professional as I could. And, and still you can tell it's still low budget, but it's like, I knew I did my best that I could with what I had. And, and to me, making something out of nothing is better than making nothing at all. So,
yes,
I mean,
true,
it really is.
Exactly.
So, I mean, people can review it and be like, blah, blah, blah. But those are probably...
You're learning. I mean, that's, look.
That's right. That is exactly right.
I mean, I'm just saying, I wrote a short film, I mean, just because I wanted to, and I never directed it, but I was like, I wanted to do it just so I could learn, just so I could do it, so I could have the experience. I mean, it would probably suck, probably would, but it was about kind of getting out there and doing it. And I, maybe the argument is, oh, everybody thinks they're a filmmaker, but you know what I mean? People are taking the initiative,
Right.
I'm in, so there you go. To try to get out there and try, you have to learn. So,
you do, you have to have a lot of experience. And that's what I always tell, like the newer directors, like sometimes they'll ask me for advice. And then the first thing I tell them usually is don't do it because it'll mentally kill you.
Be a director.
It'll mentally destroy you. But if you're going to go down that path, then you got to learn every single aspect that you can about how everything works. Because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to communicate. When you do get further in, how to communicate with a sound person, how to fix that error, how to fix these little intricate details that make up what you're trying to do. And it's always good to have solutions to problems as a director or as a creative artist to anything that you do.
All right. I got to interrupt for 1 second because Kayla is going to leave, but go ahead. Tim, go ahead and read that.
Okay. Before I get off here, I want to say great choice on interviewing Tim. He's been a true friend and has taught me so much. We were on a project together that required nudity. That's true. And the director was nowhere to be found, but this man stepped up and directed a difficult scene while keeping me comfortable, kicking butt. Yes, that is true. The director was busy getting high, I guess, and
okay, nice.
I
had to make sure that the scene went well. And
that was nice. Kayla, what a nice compliment. What a good friend.
Thank you, Steve.
Wow, you've got some. Yeah, well, Tim does have a fan base. I mean, and I'm going to tell you about a few of his other fans, and they happen to be young 15-year-old girls.
Oh no!
Don't be this weird. My daughter, James's daughter, are in love with Tim. Evidently. Bye, Kayla.
Right there.
Evidently, the young teenagers find him quite adorable. So I get to listen to that. He's like, oh yeah, okay.
They'll eventually they'll grow out of it. It'll be like a phase. And That'll be good then. Yeah.
Right. Once they're 19, I'll be like,
They'll be like, why the hell? What was I thinking? You know.
Look, I loved Sean Cassidy when I was 10. I did grow out of it eventually. But
There you go.
I don't think you grow out of Tim Novotny. I'm just saying.
That depends on who you. Depends on who you ask.
Tim can, you know, you've made a few enemies here and there, but not
Quite
because
few,
you're not great. You know, that's because you are, you know, you're good at what you do. You are, you're a little bit. You can be a little controversial. I mean, I don't think that's unfair to say, right?
That's true. That is
you know,
true.
That's okay. But the people who love you, love you.
That's right.
Just like Jaime, everybody loves her.
That's right.
I know. Yeah. So interesting. So what, Tim, I mean, tell us some other, okay. I know. I've got a question for you. What was it like? And because I saw this one and I thought it was really good. I loved watching it actually. And I don't know if it's okay for me to promote somebody else's film, and I don't mean it that way.
You can promote. Yeah, well, if I was in it, then yeah.
You were in it. I actually enjoyed watching Hellvan. I thought when we went to that premiere, I had a great time. This was a film, Jaime, that Tim and my guy James and a bunch of other people did in Ohio. And we went to the screening in Kent. I had a great time, and I thought it was a really good film. And I thought, was that a lot of fun to do? Just curious.
It was. Well, yeah, and it was somebody that I knew for a very long time. He was a director I worked with. I did a soundtrack for his first feature years ago, and I think it was back in 2013 or 14. I did a soundtrack for this film. It's called Man Away. And this one was actually really fun because it was probably the best death scene I've ever had on camera to date. Maybe, yeah. I think I'm thinking of all the times I died on camera. That was probably the best one. Because
that's good. Yeah.
That's one of them. There's like a gazillion. I don't know, but yeah. I basically I don't know if I should give it away or not, but because maybe people should watch it because it's actually pretty.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. I really did.
Yeah. Well, James was in it with me. Yeah, because there's a story about James and I too that's very interesting.
You mean in the movie or just?
Well, just in general, yeah. And Steve was in it, yeah. Steve was in Hellvan as well.
Oh, Steve was in that. Okay.
A lot of people we know were in Hellvan, but yeah, that one, that was definitely one of the best scenes. I'll say this: I've never been blinded in the face by somebody's ball juice after them shooting themselves in the dick. And then driving a car off a cliff and blowing myself up.
Yeah.
So
that was a good.
That was a very unique death scene. So
that was a unique one, by the way. Yeah. No. And by the way, Otis, it's not wrong to want to die on camera. I think that's pretty cool.
No, dying on here's what I think. So dying on camera, I have this really interesting quote, and I don't remember who said it. But they said everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. And I kind of have a rule with my films. It's kind of like, well, if you're going to be in my films, you have to at least die once on camera in one of my films if you want to continue going on, you know. So you have to know what it's like to understand both sides. Because I mean, a lot of the characters I played have gone from victim to villain and villain to victim, you know. I mean, it's just you have to sort of distinguish the two and be able to go from one to the other, and I think that's very important in acting.
Oh, by the way, Steve, his comment about the images in that film were really phenomenal. I agree with that.
Good cinematography, yeah.
It was really interesting. And that was another thing too, because I apologize if I'm kind of promoting different people. That's really not my intention necessarily, but because I think you just hung out with him. Does Ron George? He does your lighting? Does he? Because he
does my effects. Yeah, okay. I actually just came back from hanging out with him. He does a lot of my effects. Yeah, he is one of the best effects artists I've worked with.
He did the lighting, I think, right? And Krista, and her name was Krista.
Yeah, he did some of the effects, and he did some lighting along with Alan Tuskus. So I did the lighting in Krista.
Oh, you did. I actually love the lighting. That's another part of that film that I think I love the lighting. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, it sticks out to me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, good film. There's so many good ones.
Hey Tim, what's your favorite way to die so far?
Oh yeah.
Let's see. That's a good one.
Or your scariest.
Ooh, scary.
My first death was my most feared.
What was it?
So, I drowned.
Ooh.
And Brandon let me know quite some time before, and because COVID happened, it was about 3 years. So I had a lot of time to think and how I was going to plan my drowning. And, we had a great time from getting the right video and the angles and, using the glass tank to get my face.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
The sound.
Yeah.
The sound was fun. I wish we had the extra little blip at the end, but we just have me burbling and gurgling at the end, and we just died laughing after.
How'd you gurgle?
Yeah.
Let's hear your gurgling, Jamie.
No, I can't do it with a whole bunch of water.
It better not be anything like that Scream chick.
No.
Oh,
Which
she
one?
was great.
I don't know which one. He said, okay. I only saw.
She was great.
I'm going to be honest. I only saw. Which Scream?
No, the interview we spoke about earlier in the green room with the Scream girl that was when Jamie said she was gurgling, and as long as it's not okay. We on the same page now, Tim?
Yeah,
okay. Because that was bizarre, man.
Yeah.
Fun, though.
I only blew bubbles in a sink, so it was all good. But we all cracked up while we were doing that. That
sounds fun. A death scene that sounds fun. I've never gotten to die on camera.
Oh gosh, you gotta come up and film Grotesque with us then.
I would do that. I would. Yeah. I've never gotten to die on camera, so I'm hoping to.
We gotta figure out how Mildred can kill you then.
Would you kill me? I'd love that, Jamie.
Mildred. We'll ask Brandon. We can get you in there. Mildred can
kill me.
Yeah, I can do it.
So I actually have a question, if I may, Tim. You do indie films,
right.
and obviously everybody knows there's a couple of strikes going on right now.
Yeah.
You as an indie filmmaker, how are you taking advantage of that?
Well, here's how I look at it. Actors want to work. We want to pay them to work, so we employ them. And if the system in Hollywood's not going to do it, then maybe we will. Hey, actors, all they want to do is work. All they want to do is get roles. I can speak for myself when that comes down to it. So, just keep giving actors work. I say if any of these actors really want to do some real work, go indie. Start reaching out to directors, start doing work, and then, tell the system to go fuck itself. Seriously, it's almost like Hollywood's not doing anybody favors. SAG seems like it's kind of a ripoff. I almost joined myself. And it was just like ridiculous, some of the fees and some of the stuff. But there's good benefits, I'll give them that. But I don't know. I think that if you really want it, you can go out there and you can find it. You just have to network and find the right people. And eventually you'll find your right crowd. Yeah. So, I mean, they can protest it. They're probably going to stop, and they're probably going to go back to making their hundreds of millions per episode or whatever. But, if they really want to work and they really want to go outside of the box, start working with maybe directors that aren't experienced, and maybe you can teach them something. The strike to me, from what I know, because I can't speak and I don't know much about it. I understand that it has something to do with AI or having AI faces replicated on actors or something like that, which is, I think it's kind of ridiculous. If you got a crowd of people and you want to generate like fake people, that's one thing. But if you're using actual faces of real people that came in to act and they're not able to show up and you're not bringing them in, then that's kind of downgrading their talent and their performance, even if they are just an extra. And I can speak because I was an extra a couple of times. David Fincher was one I was an extra for, and Mindhunter a few times. So, that was a great opportunity. I had fun working on that set, So I think that we're coming to an age now where the digital image and the digital world has become so engulfed in everything that we want to create. And it's taking a lot of that away from the real artists, like the effects artists and the actors, And I really hope to bring that back as the further I go in this. I really want to make sure that real artists get compensated for what they're there to do instead of some computer doing it. You know, I mean, that's just me. That's.
Well, I think like I don't understand that, because like a digital image or likeness, I mean, isn't that that's your, the likeness?
Your intellectual property, yeah.
Intellectual property, right?
That's you. That's your identity, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, they're doing that with us in the VO industry. They're using people's voices, and that's also not cool. And there's going to be
yeah. I mean, you probably know about that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this taking one sample of your voice, all you have to do is go bleh in a microphone, and they can use that tone and that frequency and everything and replicate it, make you. It's like, I didn't do that gig, you know, and that's one of the things. I don't know if you guys remember Back to the Future.
Oh yes, very well. We actually have had him on the show a number of times. He's a friend of the network.
Crispin Glover?
Yes. No, yeah. Sorry. No, not Crispin Glover, the guy who took his place.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, because that was a whole thing with them using his likeness
right.
Back to the Future, you know, and that became a whole thing. I think that was probably the first time I ever heard about that happening.
And he won.
So, yeah, that's right. Writers being replaced by AI. Yeah, that's another thing. Writers, you know, they're able to AI generate scripts, you know.
Really?
Yeah. Which is stupid. Because I think.
I tried it. Don't want to.
Are they good? I mean, like, I'm
no.
not. Okay. I mean.
Okay.
Right.
Did you? I'm gonna say this. And I don't know if it's true or not, but the new Evil Dead movie, I did go see that, and I'm pretty sure. I can't confirm or deny this, but I'm pretty sure that was AI script.
Wait, the script was AI? I mean, I
don't know. I just feel like it was, because there was a lot of things in that just felt not human.
Oh,
I know it's hard to explain, but you know what I mean? Like
I thought
like they were taken from other things and just kind of meshed in. It could have been a writer. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just kind of over.
Well, they're predicting the Super Bowl every year now, since last year with AI and everything.
Yeah, the Super Bowl's probably fake. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anything that you see on a television out there.
I'm not really here. This is my likeness, but I forgot to make my likeness thinner, which was what I was wanting to do.
Just press that button right there on the corner of the screen.
Younger and thinner. Yeah, but yeah, that's definitely a whole thing. I mean, the writer thing I didn't know, but I mean,
yeah.
You know, it's
I heard that.
Yeah.
I heard the directors are next to strike, but I don't know if that's true or not.
So that being said, this is a perfect opportunity for indie folks to actually unite and create together. But it seems like a lot of indie folks, I don't know, they're stepping away from that. They're getting cutthroat, backstabbing, and it's just nonsense.
Yes, I've experienced that. I've seen that, and I mean, that's not something you do when you want to move forward. You have to unite. You have to collaborate. You have to work together if you really want to make it a movement and push forward. But I don't know. It's hard to say what the future is of filmmaking at this point, because I really don't know what's going on.
I know that the indie film, like in your area specifically, like in Akron, around Pittsburgh, Akron, Cleveland, is really it's a huge deal, more so than I think where I am. Absolutely, it's been around for quite some time. I mean, early years, I don't know if Tempe was the first player or not, but it's
Tempe was before me. I didn't know JR back then. I've met him more recently, but I am aware of his history, and I'm aware of James's connection with them, which that's an interesting story as well. But I mean, there's been a lot of different. It's been kind of a revolving door around here of different artists that have come through and have stayed for a while, and then they've gone out. So it comes and goes.
Okay. Really interesting. So what is
Hey, Curtis.
Is that your buddy?
Yeah, one of them.
Well, so I don't know, like, what's, give us we kind of talk about a little bit promotion, but why don't you give us not necessarily promotion, but what are some of the next things that you're thinking about doing in your career that's, looking to create or
if we're gonna, Well, one of the things I can promote is there is a film that is getting premiered in October that I just finished up called The Beautiful Ones, by a director that goes by J Star. I've worked with him years ago. I've done a lot with him. It's going to be premiering at the West in Barberton on October 14th at 7 p.m. So that's one I can promote for sure. There's a bunch of movies that I've worked on that are just coming out, like a full moon production called it's the sequel to Demonic Toys. I think it's called Jack Attack. I had a really cool scene in that.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, this is my second full moon time I've worked with those guys. I worked with Bill Butler, met him through Effects Artist and Charles Band. So I was in a show called Miskatonic University, and it kind of stemmed from there. I just worked with some great people on that, and there's quite a bit more. It's probably some kind of floating out of my mind though, but I mean, there's a lot.
Well, I know at one point you were. I don't know if I can say this. You were gonna make something into a novel. Is that still happening, or?
Yes. That was a production that I was working on called Born of Malice. It was a film that I was working on. It was scripted to be a film. And we did shoot a number of scenes for that. And what I ended up editing them into these little segments because I kept reading over and over the script, and the production was kind of falling apart and it was all over the place. And I was like, this looks better as a book than it does a film. It just feels right. And I didn't like playing the lead. I will never do that again. I will never direct and act again. I can't pull a Mel Gibson, even though James recommended it, but it was not a good idea. I know he can do it. He has that talent, but I do not have that talent. I will never do that again. No. So that's something else. So yes, that is something that hopefully I'll be releasing that sometime early next year, along with all the stuff that we worked on for that. But yeah, right now I've just been full focus on our current feature, the Mephistopheliac. So that's one that's very important to us because we've been writing that one since, I want to say, like 2014 or 2015. And that was just an idea. It was originally going to be a web series. Then I was thinking, wait, we should turn it into a short. And now I was like, no, short film, feature film. There's a lot of good ideas in this. It's crazy, it's nuts, and it's completely relevant to what's going on today, which is just chaos in America. So we wanted to make it happen. Yeah.
Chaotic. I can say that. Interesting. Right. Thoughts, Joe? Thoughts, Jamie?
Questions, comments, grievances, things that go bump in the night.
In the world. Are you going to travel around the world, or are you staying in the States?
I would like to travel around the world, yes. And I would like to showcase a lot of my work around the world. That's kind of been a goal of mine for a while, just to get the stuff out there, and just to get it seen around the world. Plus, I want to go visit some of these cities.
Where do you want to go? Go ahead.
One of the places I really want to go is I want to go to Char, Switzerland, because there's a museum there by my favorite artist, and his name is H.R. Giger. And a lot of people are probably familiar with him. Some people probably aren't. He's the one that designed the alien creature from Alien, which is my favorite film of all time.
Real Alien?
Yes.
Okay. I'm the only person who's not a fan. I'm not a fan of that movie.
What?
I know.
What?
I'm
sorry. Wendy, you're breaking up.
Yeah,
I didn't hear what you said.
What? I can't hear you. What?
I didn't like that movie. Sorry. But yeah, no, I think that's very cool. I will tell you that I have the coolest place I ever went, Tim, and I could see you going there, is Israel.
It's funny. I thought about going
Israel,
there, but
yeah,
I'd like to just see how it is. I did want to visit the pyramids. Yeah, I like Predator too. Predator's definitely a childhood favorite of mine too. I love Predator. The newer ones not so much, but yeah, those first two are great in my opinion. But yeah, Israel's one. Romania, I definitely want to visit Vlad the Impaler's castle and stay there for a night.
Castles.
Hang out.
Oh yeah, castles would be.
Seems nice.
Are they your jam, Jamie? Castles?
Yeah, I like castles.
Yeah. I love castles.
Are there castles in Canada?
There's castles here. There's castles in Canada, I'm sure.
Everywhere.
There's castles everywhere.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple of castles in Ohio. There's one that
Ohio has castles.
Yeah. Ohio has a couple of castles. Yeah. They're not very big.
Okay.
They're not very big. They are kind of cool. They're very small, but they're nice. I mean,
okay.
There's
like
castles
in Europe.
I mean, on Long Island we had White Castle.
Always open.
We have one.
Always open.
There is one White Castle I know about, and it's close to Columbus. I don't remember exactly where, but I've always wanted to go there. I've never been to White Castle.
You know
Really?
Never been to White Castle.
Oh my
I've always wanted to
God.
go there, and I drive by it every time I go to Columbus. I'm like, I'm going to go to White Castle, and I never go, and I want to go to White Castle.
I want to go too, because it's in the movies, and I've never even driven by them. I just
Yeah.
in different movies.
it's an Ohio thing, and I was wondering if you know about it, Tim, because I had never heard about this. Do you know what JoJo's are? Is that something?
JoJo's, yeah, I have had one. It's basically, I think if I'm thinking of it, it's like a potato. It's like a fried potato,
It's like
I think.
right,
Yeah.
Joe and Jamie, you've never heard of them, right? They're in Ohio. They're like potato wedges or something.
Yeah,
like
so
very chicken. They call them
it's kind of
JoJo.
like, it's kind of like fried potatoes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is, fried potatoes.
Like a potato wedge. Like a fried.
Yeah.
They're called JoJo.
It's all right.
So it's a French fry.
Yeah, like a French fry, kind of.
Kind of like
A wedge potato is a
anything
steak cut fry.
Yeah, anything that's cut down, any kind of potato that's cut down is basically a French fry. I mean, let's just call it. I mean, that's it.
A glorified French fry. Just thanks to Ohio. And then the other thing about Ohio,
Fancy fries.
sliders.
Slide in.
Otis has a valid point.
That's right. They just love the old in out.
You guys gotta get hip.
Gotta get hip. So unhip. I know some things. You could say things like all the feels. Being hip. Like that's all hitting all the feels.
Is that still a thing now? Do people still say that?
I don't think so. My kids
I'm
whatever I
old
say.
too, so I don't know.
I mean, I'm Huey Lewis age. It's hip to be square.
It's hip to be square. Do you like Huey Lewis in the news?
Absolutely.
Your earlier work was. When sports came out in '83, I think they really came into their own commercially and artistically.
Oh wait, if you guys don't know what movie he's referring to, then you gotta hang up.
I know.
Okay, let's see if anybody in the comments can find out what movie I was referencing.
I know what you were referencing. Yes, American Psycho. Matter of fact, our own David Lee Madison was bodyguard and good friend.
Huey Lewis. Yes, and this close to having him on.
I know, we gotta get him on.
Close. Him and David Lee Roth, we were this close.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Otis, thank you.
There you go.
American Psycho.
Does he win a prize or something, or do we just kind of?
Well,
yeah.
We won't mention American Psycho 2 with how the hell do you pronounce her name?
Mila Kunis.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. We won't mention that one.
Yeah. No. I like Mila Kunis. I think she's hot. But
absolutely.
I didn't think that movie didn't need to be made.
There was a second one that they made. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. Yeah. She kills Patrick Bateman at the beginning. I was like, no.
Right.
No.
Interesting. So
it's about as good as the second Roadhouse movie.
I'd heard this. I talked about this. I love that film. And there's a second one and a remake, right? Am I right?
No. It was Patrick Swayze's son, supposedly, and Patrick Swayze died. Yeah, that was his son. Yeah. And anything Jake Busey's in, I'm in.
Oh, the son of Gary Busey? Is that who? Okay.
Jake Busey's kind of crazy. I did like him in The Frighteners. I like The Frighteners.
Yes, he was creepy as fuck.
Him and Gary, or him and Jeffrey Combs, and that were my two favorite characters in that whole thing.
Uh-oh.
Blasphemy Roadhouse 2.
James, great to see you, brother.
James, and I know your favorite film, and I will say this publicly, is Under the Tuscan Sun. That is James L. Edwards' favorite film to date.
Oh, I didn't know that, James.
No, it is not. I just wanted to embarrass him. I thought he liked it. So, Tim,
it was Dawn of the Dead.
So is it time for his self promotion, Joe? Are we there yet?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're running this gig. You tell me.
All right. So here we are at the mark, Tim, where it's now time to talk about the Novotny Syndicate. What you're doing. We've been talking about what you're doing, what you've been doing. But if you want to do a recap, where everybody can find you, and the spotlight goes on you, and go.
All right. So, the Novotny Syndicate. It's my production company. We're based out of Northeast Ohio, and we make cinema dangerous again. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and there's also a couple other links on there that you can find us. They will be pending because we're actually reconstructing our site. So definitely check us out, and hope to see you there.
Oh, so we're just gonna leave him full screen just to make him uncomfortable for a moment.
I know, right? Tim, do a pose. Do the pose. Oh, come on.
What kind of pose? What are we doing?
All the young girls that love you.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Wait.
Rude. Ooh. All right. Well.
I can't even take that much. That was. I'm getting the vapors.
The vapors. He's so handsome. Tim, I adore you. You know that. I'm so glad that you came on. It's he's a friend. He's a good guy. He's funny. He's very talented, and you gotta love it.
Wendy, you attract all the VO guys.
Well, Tim. Oh, if you need a VO, hit me up. Oh, okay. Hey, Otis. All right, absolutely.
Oh, this cat James had something to say too.
Tim also dances at Lawrence of Arabia's.
Scantily clad or
no?
Full nudity?
I don't even think I could pull that off now. I'm getting too old for that.
Instead of the body, let the bodies hit the floor, let the balls hit the floor.
The balls hit the floor. Well,
let the sack hit the floor. Totally nude. Yep. Yeah. That's right.
That's how we roll.
Maybe I'll roll one of these.
No, wait a minute. Wasn't Ohio? Isn't that where cornhole was invented?
What?
Maybe. I know a lot of people that play cornhole. So that's kind of strange. Maybe it was.
They have a league. Did you know that? They have
a
cornhole league. They do. I'm not kidding. They have a cornhole league, an American cornhole league. I know this because I watched it on Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Oh, but I'm sorry. You watched it on what?
Jersey Shore Family Vacation. I love that show. I'm not embarrassed about it. Just so you know.
You should be.
Am I getting fired? No, sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but there was an American cornhole league. But anyways, Tim, so fun, and Jamie, you're just so beautiful. Jamie, you look especially pretty today. I don't know what you did. I mean, but you just look even more glamorous. So, tell me your secret.
I don't know. Maybe some more sleep lately.
Oh.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's Maybelline. No, I have no makeup on. I don't wear makeup.
Well, guys, thank you for the compliments. I appreciate that and everything.
I have to compliment you, Joe, because that beard is magnificent. Honestly.
Well, thank you. I'm working on it. I'm trying. It's a second time try. My hair, I just donated 18 inches of hair, so I got to grow something out.
Yeah.
Well, he's lucky that his hair does grow out. He has a great, magnificent hair.
I want to see your.
It's very Viking-esque. That's what I really like about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. All right, he's a keeper. So anyway.
The bromance is going.
So guys, we're going to wrap this up right now. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, go to the Indie Escape Network, like all our freaking socials, go to Tim's Joint and freaking check out all his movies. Go to Jamie. Jamie, you got a few things coming up. You want to plug those real fast?
Sure, we got Grotesque 2 is filming right now, so if you haven't seen Grotesque, you can see that on Tubi. And
love it. No, I didn't watch.
Of course, Grotesque 2 is going to be just as fun, and working on some other films right now that are in Canada, and doing some fun things that should be out next year.
And we're working on getting you down to the States for some conventions. And Wendy, what do you got going on?
Gotta be honest, you know, I do a little indie film here and there. The latest thing that I did, I mean, it was really a lot of fun, was Side Effects May Vary, which should be coming out hopefully pretty soon, from J.R. Bookwalter, James L. Edwards, and a lot of other great folks. As you know, I'm a voiceover, so that's really what I do most of the time. You can hear me almost anywhere, including the voice of United Airlines if you happen to fly that airline, and Disney and other really great stuff. So if you happen to hire voiceovers, hit me up. That's what I do. And I also coach. Anybody watching, I'm a voiceover coach as well. So that's really all I do.
Sweet. And we've got great show, guys. Curtis saying, yeah. I'm a virgin here, but I love the show. Thank you. We greatly appreciate that. And, oh my God, they're coming in fast.
Happy to violate your ears, Steve.
Otis.
Your eyes.
Otis, just for Otis, by the way, Otis, you can get through the Indiascape Network or on Facebook, Wendy's Ear, or my site is wendyvoices.com. If you need voiceover coaching, I'm one of the best, and I'll make you great. So.
She is literally everywhere, and that's one thing I have to say. There was a point a couple weeks ago. That was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was at a gas station, and then I heard this thing like, "If you want to buy this," I'm like, "Wendy."
Right? I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Wait, a gas station? Stick my nozzle in your pump, or no? It was.
That's your
You've ever said. That's the dirtiest joke ever.
You want a refill? There you go.
All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to close this out in a professional way.
Stick around in the waiting room. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Man, she's awfully demanding, isn't she?
Demanding. But thanks for joining us, Joe. If you want to bring us out, I'll let you do the honors. All right. Well, I guess Joe's bringing us out. Joe, are you bringing out?
No, that was a hint that if I was leaving the screen, I was going to let you bring us out. This is your show.
All right.
Do it.
All right. Everybody,
yes, Wendy, please.
Here I go. Yeah, Brady Bunch. Everyone, I want to thank you for joining us. I love, as usual, the lovely Jamie Hill, Joe, the gorgeous Joe Ridgely with that beautiful beard and hair, and then of course the adorable, sexy, brooding Tim Novotny, who just, gorgeous. Go see him dance. What is it? Lawrence of Arabia? Okay, that's where he's working. Come loaded with dollar bills. Thank you, everybody, and we love seeing you. We'll see you next time on the Sticky Night.
You guys.
And now I'm just going to leave awkward silence for a moment.